Hello and welcome back to BikeMatters. Today I'm doing a full road test review on the Super Soco CUx Ducati electric scooter. But before we hit the road, let's go through all that spec. Let's start off with the motor on the CUx Ducati, and on this one it is a Bosch hub motor that produces 1.3 kilowatts, peaking at 2.8 kilowatts. Now the actual spec of this is 3.7 brake horsepower and the 50 newton meters of torque, but it is equivalent to a 50cc scooter, so we know restricted this will do 28 miles per hour. The battery technology on the CUx Ducati is provided by a single battery which is under the seat, which is a 60 volt 30 amp hour battery, which will take about 4 hours to charge, will give up to 14 miles in range. It's not too heavy at 10 kilograms and can be recharged by a 3-pin plug. Now the CUx Ducati, I think it's fair to say, is a small scooter and it's very lightweight as well. With the battery, it's about 74 kilograms. So as you can see, yeah, it's very, very light. But when we actually go into the styling of the thing, I actually really like it. Yes, it's tiny, but with the Ducati colorway, it looks great. Full LED lighting. What more could you ask for a 50cc equivalent machine? With its small dimensions, unsurprisingly, the CUx Ducati is really accessible. The seat height is 770 millimeters, and the seat itself is quite narrow, so even I can get both feet down really easily. Let's go into the dash and the technology on the CUx Ducati. First of all, the dash itself is fully digital. That gives all the information you need nice and clearly. Under that we have our dash lights. Now if we go to the switch gear, it is quite basic, but it will do everything that you require of it. It is smart key enabled, so basically you don't have to have the key in the ignition, you can just have it on your person when you're riding. Another really cool thing about the CUx Ducati is the fact that it does have an alarm. Now, if I hit that alarm button, you can just hear that's been enabled. If I try and walk this away, the alarm sounds and the rear wheel locks as well. Now if I put that back on its stand and disable the alarm, we're all sorted. Now one compromise getting an electric scooter in general is it won't quite have the storage capacity of other scooters. So under that seat is where the battery is, so there's not much room there. On the back of the leg shield we do have an open glove box for a few small items, but you do always have the option of having a rear rack put on the back of the scooter as well for extra storage space. With suspension on the CUx Ducati we have telescopic forks at the front and twin shocks to the rear. Onto braking, and at the front we have a brake disc, and to the rear we have a brake disc, so no drum here. And it also has a combined braking system, so it does allow for skidding that back wheel, but we wouldn't condone that. Now the Super Soco CUx Ducati will cost £2,499 within use of a UK grant, although if you want to go for the non-Ducati version you'll save yourself £250. But that's enough talking about the CUx, let's take it out on the road and do that full road test. Hello everyone and welcome to my road ride full review of the Super Soco CUx Ducati. This thing is tiny, it's cute. Oh, I have to say, initial impressions looking at it, I think it's quite a cool little scooter. It is tiny. I'm only 5'6". Everyone knows, everyone who watches this channel knows how diddy I am at 5'6". And yeah, this scooter feels quite small to me. One of its characteristics is the fact that it is lightweight. With the battery, which is about 10 kilograms itself, this weighs about 75 kilograms, which is phenomenally light. It is diddy little thing. But I think that has its fair few benefits as well. Obviously, taller people, you're going to have to test it out, see if it's suitable for you. But it's got a lot going for it, i.e. you can easily store this in a garage. It probably takes up as much room as my push bike does. It's going to be ideal for people who just want to put this on the back of a motorhome and want a little 50cc type scooter that they can go away on holiday in the motorhome, take this off, and then you can go about
to the shops and so on when they just don't want to use the motorhome. So there's a lot of options going for this straight off the bat. Yes, it's tiny, it's lightweight, but there's a lot of benefits to it as well. Now, yes, it is equivalent to a 50cc petrol machine, and so therefore it's kind of capped at 28 miles an hour. You can de-restrict it, and you're likely to get closer to kind of like 35 kind of miles per hour if it's de-restricted. But obviously if it's de-restricted, it's then not learner friendly from the age of 16, it's from the age of 17. Not just can it be ridden on a CVT from the age of 16, you can also drive it, or ride it, sorry, if you've got a driving license. I think it was before 2001. So yeah, there's always the option of riding a 50cc machine if you pass your car driving license before 2001. But make sure to check out full license restrictions to make sure it'll be possible for you. Now let's go on to those electric components on the CUx Ducati. And it is exactly the same as the normal CUx. The Ducati version just comes in this awesome livery, which you're paying an additional £250 for. So let's talk about the motor. Now, it is a Bosch hub motor, so it's in that rear wheel, and it produces 1.3 kilowatts of power, maxing out or peaking out at 2.8 kilowatts. And I think it's producing about 3.6-ish brake horsepower. Now obviously the Newton meters of torque, I think they say, is something like 50, just because of the way it's measured. But we all know this is equivalent to a 50cc machine. The acceleration is okay for what is a 50cc machine, and it will get you to 28 miles an hour when it's restricted. Now, I believe this one might have been de-restricted, because uphill we're doing a mighty, on the clock, 37 miles an hour. Come on, CUx Ducati. Oh, we're going uphill, so we're kind of getting to 35. But even still, this would tell me that this is the de-restricted version. Obviously, if you're on the restricted one, you're not going to be seeing much more than 28. Now, let's go back to those dimensions a second. Not just for how lightweight and easy it is to move and store. We've got a small little foot plate here. My legs are kind of a little bit hunched together, admittedly. But I'm doing okay. You do know it is quite restrained and not a lot going. So yeah, we'll just have to see for the taller people. I think you do have this extra little bit down there so your feet can go either side. So I dare say it will actually take people of quite a decent height. It's just whether they'll be comfortable in doing so, especially when it comes to the kind of weight as well. 74 kilograms is very, very light. Now we do have this rather nice digital display on the CUx. It's black background, white text, miles per hour. The speedometer is lovely and large, easy to see. To the right there, we know we're in mode 3, which is kind of like the sport. There's 3 typical riding modes, 1 being eco, 2 being normal, and 3 being sport. And as you can see, we're in 3, which I think most people would do on this little scooter. We have the odometer, we have our battery management system, saying that we've got 86% of power left, and we know there's a clock there as well, which I don't know if is set up 100% yet. But yeah, so the dash itself is nice. There's a bit of glare now, as you can see, from the sunlight, so that does affect visibility a little bit. Overall, it's a nice looking dash. Yeah, you can read it still, but the glare does kind of affect it slightly. Now we do have brake discs to the front and back and combined braking system. So yeah, no ABS on this, but when you look at other electric scooters out there which compare to this, they all pretty much run combined braking system. So just be aware that rear wheel can lock if you really hit hard on the rear. Well, in front, in fairness, so can the front. But yeah, so it can skid as well. So looking at the switchgear, it's fair to say it's quite basic. The plastics don't look amazing, but to the left hand side, down the bottom here, we have cruise control, horn. Working our way up, we then have our indicator, which is a silent indicator, and it is a push in to cancel indicator too. So yeah, push that in and we're cancelled. Then to the left here is our dip beam and main beam. To the right hand side, we have our hazard lights. We have to turn to basically turn the power off so it's not in ready mode, so you can't accelerate and go. And then we have our modes to change on the dash. Then the plus minus is to change our riding mode. So if I do that now, if I go to the right and hit minus, that's put us in riding mode 2. Let's see what top speed we can do in rider mode 2. So 27 mile an hour is the top speed. Now let's slow it down a bit, shall we? And let's put it in rider mode uno. And that's got us at 17, 18 miles an hour. Now let's put it back in rider mode 3 because that's where the fun's at. I say fun, we're going to be doing 30, 35 everywhere. But yeah, it is noticeably a small little diddy scooter. The suspension is on the firmer side. Now we have telescopic forks at the front and twin shocks to the rear, which will do perfect for around town, I'm sure. You do feel the bumps more though on this, but it is only a little thing. Now Lexham Insurance power us at BikeMatters, but not just that, they're also moped, scooter and motorcycle insurance specialists, and they have excellent rates on electric moped scooters and small capacity motorcycles too. Now if you're looking for an insurance quote, or when it's time to get an insurance quote, click the link in the top right hand corner now, and that will take you straight through to Lexham's quotation form. When you complete a quotation, the premium will automatically have £20 deducted just because you are a BikeMatters viewer. Now, the Super Soco CUx Ducati costs, with the use of a UK grant, £2,499. Now, if you're not too fussed about that Ducati colourway and you want to go for one of the standard CUXs, well, you're going to save about £250, as it'll be £2,200 and I think £49.99, something like that. But that is in the basic colourway options. This one is £2,500 with the use of that government grant. Now, it's not going to be for everyone, but if you need something that can nip about town for a mile or two, you need something to put on the back of your motorhome, or even if you're a 16-year-old and you want to go electric and you want to have something that looks quite funky and cool, I think the CUx Ducati is going to appeal to you. Acceleration isn't too bad. It's not lightning fast, as you can see, as we get away towards 30 mile an hour, but it's respectable. You know, it's equivalent to a 50cc machine. It's not going to go ridiculous, is it? Pull back on the accelerator and it's not really laggy at all. It's nice and instant. Oh, the turning on this is hilarious. It's so tiny. You can turn this on anything. It is such a tiny little turning circle on this. So the ride on this is typically a little bit firmer. You're going to feel lumps and bumps on it. It is a typical kind of basic setup for towns and cities, and it is only a small scooter with small wheels at the same time, so it's not going to soak up the biggest of bumps. It is a bit of a firmer ride. The seat is okay, it's comfortable, but again, there's no denying it is a little bit on the firmer side, as you'd kind of expect with a small machine such as this. Right, no one is about. We're doing about 30. Brakes on. Yeah, the brakes are okay. They do the job just fine. Again, you find resistance early on the brake lever, just power it on. Go past that resistance. Obviously, don't lock it up because it's only combined braking system. But nonetheless, the brakes do the job. You feel that resistance and kind of, yeah, you'll soon get used to how it brakes. Now, it does have a camera on the front of this, but I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't used it. It is with the app, and I haven't used the app, so I honestly can't tell you on the performance for that. The mirrors are actually quite well placed, and I've got kind of 80% visibility most of the time, which I think is pretty good going. It's pretty good, you know, up to 30 mile an hour. It's going to do everything someone would want of it for a city scooter. You know, you just got to be aware of those things, that this is equivalent to a 50cc machine. Therefore, your top speed is, you know, 30, 38 if it's unrestricted, but that is going to be about it. Now, 2,500 quid, you know, it's kind of like a premium option for a 50cc scooter. But at the same time, this will cost you, what, 1 pence a mile? So a full charge is going to be, what, 30, 40 pence for a full charge? You know, most of the time, for a 50cc machine, you're not going to need to cover many miles. So the range of this, doing up to 40 in optimum conditions, will cover basically just about everyone who wants to use a 50cc scooter, with the odd exception. Maintenance and servicing is going to be next to nothing. Obviously, you don't have nowhere near the kind of moving parts that you do on a combustion engine scooter. So servicing, you should really be laughing. So it is going to be extremely economical. Now, I know the argument would be, well, most 50cc scooters will do well over 100 miles per gallon and going to be dead cheap to run anyway. Yes, I totally agree. But for those who want, you know, to be green, to go electric, or to have thus the best economy going, then that's what's going to appeal about the CUx Ducati. In the same breath, I think being the Ducati version will make electric appeal to the youngsters out there from the age of 16 who want a scooter, a moped, electric moped, which is, you know, suitable for 16-year-olds. It looks really cool. I haven't spoken to anyone yet who I've shown this to who doesn't love how this thing looks. So let's go over the good bits and not so good bits of the CUx Ducati. And for some of it kind of crosses over. For where it's good, sometimes it's, you know, it can be deemed as a bit of a negative as well. Now, the size, the weight of this scooter, it is tiny, it's lightweight. It can easily store in a garage, probably taking up as much room as a push bike does. It is very light. Now, this makes it, yes, easy to store, but also very manageable for a new or inexperienced rider, or someone just wanting something nice and easy to use for around town. You know, you just want something to commute to a shop or to work or to college, which is 1 or 2 miles each way. This is going to have you covered, especially if it's going to be, you know, not exceeding 30 miles an hour. At the same time, though, because it is quite small, quite lightweight, it might not be ideal for taller riders or heavier riders. You really would have to check for compatibility on that. Now, the leg position, I think there's actually quite a lot of leg room there. However, noticeably quite close together when it comes to the width. The suspension is firm. It's not, you know, it's not making me ache or my bones rattle, but the suspension is a little bit firm, but you expect that for a 50cc type machine. The switch gear feels a little bit on the budget side, but in the same breath, I'll have to say it hasn't failed me and it's worked as it should do. What are the good bits? Well, let's go back to the dimensions and the lightweight nature of it. It's so flickable. It's so easy to ride. It's got a tiny turning circle. It is just a giggle with how ickle and cute this thing is. I think also being in the Ducati livery makes this really appealing to younger riders or riders wanting something a little bit on the sporty side. What else is good? Well, it's electric. It's going to cost you about 1 pence a mile. So all in all, what? You know, a full charge on this is going to be somewhere between like 30 and 40 pence. Maintenance and servicing, again, is going to be next to nothing because it doesn't require anywhere near the servicing of a normal combustion scooter. It is £2,500, which means it is a bit more premium, but it's just going to be so incredibly frugal to ride. It's just going to appeal to those people who are in favour of an electric vehicle. It isn't going to be one for faster roads. It isn't going to be one for bumpy rural roads. But it is going to be right for people who want to do short journeys on slow roads in towns and cities. You mean hell, lob this on the back of a motorhome if you want some independence when you're out and about enjoying your travels. I think the LED lighting is great. It's nice and visible. When I led this scooter the other day, I could see the LED lighting nice and easily. Yes, we are lacking in storage space as standard. You might have to look in options to go on that rear rack on the back there, but it is just one of those compromises to have electric at the moment. The acceleration is respectable, you know, it is what it is for this type of machine. The seat height, I think it's 770 millimeters high, but it's quite narrow. I mean, you can see I'm Diddy at 5'6", and I can get both feet down so bloody easily. So time to wrap up this, my full review on the Super Soco CUx Ducati. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, go on, please give it that like rating. It helps us out here at the channel. Any comments, questions or feelings about the CUx Ducati, lob that in the comments section below. If you're not already subscribed to the BikeMatters channel, go on, hit that red subscribe button, and while you're there, ding that notification bell so you're informed when our new releases hit YouTube. But thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.